Welcome back to my channel AI True Scale. I'm your host Sirisha Ross, and today I have the privilege of sitting down with someone whose life story reads like a masterclass in resilience, purpose, and the healing power of movement. Vickie Aigner is the founder and chief fitness officer of Alive Fit and Free, a senior wellness company that is rewriting what fitness means for aging populations. She survived cervical cancer at 25 through natural healing. She built her life after being widowed at 47 with 5 children and turned 4 decades of health and wellness expertise into a mission that's transforming senior living communities across Arizona and beyond. Let's welcome Vickie to our show. Welcome, Vickie.
Hi, Sirisha. Thanks so much for having me. That's fabulous. Well, I'm so glad to be here and share something that somebody else can relate to and maybe help them along on their journey. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Let's start. So, let's start with your story and how did all this begin for you?
Well, how did all this begin? Well, I've always kind of been the kid that never fit in the box, you know? But I started in the natural health movement when I was in my 20s due to the fact that I had cervical cancer and chose to heal that naturally. And then, back then we didn't have whole food markets, we didn't have the internet, everything was underground. So I really had to dig and search around to find those resources. And I got well, and it really empowered me and spurred me on. I got super passionate about helping other people get well. So that kind of started my whole journey. I had always, like I said, been really active. I grew up dancing and skiing. And so fitness had always kind of been a piece in my life. But that life experience took me farther. So I started studying and getting certifications in different wellness techniques and just going out and sharing with people. And fast forward, met my husband. I had lived off the land during the time that I had the cervical cancer. I was a hippie that lived off the land. After that episode, I would say that after that life, I met my husband and we ended up having 6 children and had them all birthed at home. Just enjoyed staying home and taking care of my kids, homeschooling. And again, we moved to the country and raised them in a farm situation. But Ken died in 2001. He had a heart attack at the age of 54. So we were in the middle of building our own home. We lived in Mississippi at that time, and our youngest child was 3, our oldest was 18. So my son and I, my son was then 16, we finished the house, and I had to do something. My way of dealing with grief, number one, was fitness, but then I had to do something to raise my family, to support my family. So I went back into the world of health coaching and fitness training. But what I learned through that experience of losing my husband was I always knew the right moves to give people to do and the right foods for them to eat. But if they didn't deal with what was going on the inside, we're not going to really have that full picture of health. So losing my husband in 2001 enabled me to take that experience and use that to learn how to heal inside. I had never really accepted myself for who I was, but finally, that helped me to be able to let my feelings out and to deal with all of those things that we stuff from childhood on, maybe thinking that, we're not good enough or whatever it might be. Finally, to unwrap all of that stuff that we've kept so deeply hidden inside that could be causing us so many issues in life, because that becomes the filter that we view life from. So I was able for the first time in my life to really accept myself for who I was and go, oh my gosh, you were made this way. You were made to be outside of the box. And then when I came away from that experience, it was like I knew what I had to do. I just wanted to help people become happy and healthy and give them a hand on how to do that, especially women in midlife that had their lives maybe just crumbled like mine did. I lost my husband, or maybe people are going through a divorce or whatever it might be. It's like, here we are. What do we do now to rebuild? So I came back to Arizona and started this company called Live Fit and Free. I had no idea what it was going to look like. It was just like, I just want to help people be happy and healthy. So I had a lady help me put a website up. And again, I had no idea what it was going to look like. Started health coaching with a corporate client here, and one of my biggest clients was working with the Wallapai Nation in northern Arizona. I was their health coach for about 14 years, which was absolutely fabulous. We had such a great time and did amazing things with this incredible group of people. But through that whole process, I would go to work for this little health company, and then I would write articles and put them up on my website, and it just kind of flowed. And again, I had no idea what I was going to do with it. But 2017 rolled around, and I taught a lot of classes, a lot of fitness classes, line dance classes, dance classes. And I had an opportunity to go into a senior living community and teach line dance. I thought,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this would be great. So one class turned into 5 classes, and I thought, well, isn't this a blast?
Mm-hmm.
So I made flyers, and every time I would drive by a senior living facility, I would just hand flyers out. And pretty soon I had 20 classes a week. And then I had people that wanted to start working with me. So I thought, okay, this is cool. I'm just going to put together a training program because I had started working on a specific mind body kind of movement program that targeted the sympathetic parasympathetic flip so that we weren't working on a fight or flight, but we were into the rest and restore nervous systems. I would take what I learned and try it out on my senior living people. And it was amazing the changes that we started seeing. So I started researching more and more. Put together a training program for my instructors. And we just started expanding, and still it's just like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. I didn't really realize that, we were building a company. In 2019, one of my daughters came on as my business partner. She started picking up the tech end of things. We built a platform and started putting different CRM pieces together, and I didn't have a clue about any of that. I was just out there having fun. And so anyhow, she lives internationally, and one of our goals was to go international. Well, lo and behold, COVID hit. So one week we were on the ground teaching classes, and the next week we were virtual. So we flipped over and started using Zoom for all of our classes. During COVID, I think we ran about 60 classes a month, and we had classes on anything and everything that could keep seniors educated and well-informed. We worked with travel guides from around the world that would take us on live classes through Tokyo or Mongolia and Budapest. I mean, it was super cool. We had a lot of fun. But also during that time, as soon as COVID ended, everybody wanted on-site classes again. So
Right.
then we quickly had to flip and go back on site. So during this particular period of time as well, I was diagnosed with stage 2 rectal cancer and opted to do radiation and chemo during that time. Well, the radiation perforated my colon and I went septic. So I ended up in the hospital with about 2 hours to live, the doctor said. And when I came out, I lived in a body that I did not recognize at all. I weighed 89 pounds. I had tubes hanging on one side. I had an ostomy on the other side. It was just like my life totally blew up. And through that circumstance, and one thing I've realized about life is when we have those circumstances and situations that come our way, they're for learning and for our growth, and not just for our growth, but for the growth of other people. If we can open up and share those circumstances and share those hard things that happen in life to give somebody else hope. But what happened was during the whole treatment system, I really stepped back from the business, from everything, and went, kind of like hands off. What do I need to do here? What do I need to learn? I want this to count because this is pretty serious. I mean, like really serious. So my daughter had taken over the business during that time. So when I came back, it was like I really had no idea what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go with it. And my daughter stepped back from the company about 9 months later. She realized that her passion wasn't in it. And it was like, okay, that's fine. So what am I going to do? So I just continued to go with the flow, which was adding more and more on-site classes. And at that time, I think I was running with about 6 instructors. That was in 22. We started increasing the amount of classes we had. We work with senior living facilities. We work with 55 plus HOAs. We work with community centers. And so classes kept expanding. One of our clients is a national company, and they wanted us to expand into other areas. So pretty soon we started expanding with them, and I think we're up to about 50 instructors that work with us now.
That's amazing.
We teach probably 40-ish classes a week across Arizona and New Mexico. We have virtual classes and some pre-recorded classes. But one of my key components is we need to have fun. We need to enjoy what we're doing. We need to stay healthy, happy, and educated, and explore things that are new for us because it helps build new neural pathways in the brain, as do certain key movements. So when I started working with the seniors, I realized that they were being treated like they were out to pasture. Let's just put them in the rocking chair on the front porch and just let them sit there. Most senior classes were real, let's just sit in the chair and move our arms and legs. And it's like, no, we're happy, we're vibrant, we're fun, we want to have fun in the classes. And when we do all of those things, it works on what I call the 4 pillars of health. So we're a little bit different because we're not your cookie cutter, what you would think of as seniors. I mean, when I started working with the senior living facilities, I was in my 60s and I didn't realize that I was a senior. And all of a sudden I was just like, oh, I I'm one of them. I don't like what's happening to us. So we set out to kind of redefine what it means to be a senior in this modern day and age, because let's face it, we are living longer and hopefully we're living healthier to keep up with that lifespan, which there was a big gap 13 years ago, I think, or about 10 years ago, there was a 13-year age gap between health span and lifespan. So like when you hit this age, you can run out of health. Good luck. And it's like, yeah, no, I don't think so. I think that can be changed. So anyhow, that's kind of how it all started. So we just flowed with where it took us. And it also led us into creating some specialty programs, which is where we're really headed in the future. We ran some beta programs last year for Parkinson's people and caregivers and dementia Alzheimer's patients and caregivers. So it was a beta program that we launched based off of my signature programs, based off of the 4 pillars of health. So we work on mental, emotional, physical, and energetic, and we've seen just incredible results with the communities we've built for those specialty groups. So that's our main focus going into this next year, because we think, it's really making a difference in the lives of not only the patients in those demographics, but also the caregivers, who are kind of the forgotten group. So yeah, that's in a nutshell.
That's incredible journey, Vickie.
Thank you.
You got me emotional.
Thank you.
So many places, and I was able to relate some of it. It's like really, and again, everyone needs to know that it's not a straight line for everyone. And if you have
No,
a
it's
straight
not a
line,
straight line.
yeah, I mean, like some people, when the line is not straight, they think that it's only me where the line is not straight. But now, when you hear the experiences of other people, that's when they realize, like, "Oh, I'm just a human being,
Right,
just like
exactly.
other." So I think
Yeah.
that's everyone needs to hear this. It's just everyone's journey is different. Some people's journey are a little bit curved, but someone's journey is like just like up and downs and
All over the place.
all
Yeah.
over the place. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So you kind of covered most of my questions, but still I have like some. Yeah, I think. um, so you told us about you healed the cervical cancer naturally. So what does that mean? Like how someone can do that naturally?
Okay, let me see if I can condense this for you. So, our bodies need, it's kind of layers. Our bodies need certain nutrients, right, to
Mm-hmm.
function properly. And our cells rebuild. Every 7 years, we honestly have a new body. It's not like, okay, on April 25th, 7 years from now, everything's going to change. It's constantly regenerating, okay? So if we're feeding our body the right nutrients, it's going to nourish the body that can help to rebuild those cells in a healthy way. So with the cervical cancer, that's one layer, right? Another layer is what's going on the inside. And I just started delving into that when I had the cervical cancer. I was 25, and it was
Mm-hmm.
just, positive affirmations. You see the fighter cells in the body eating up the cancer cells. But it again, it goes way deeper than it. It goes to our beliefs about ourselves, and how do you talk to yourself? Do you wake up every morning and say, hey, honey, let's have a good day today? You're great. You're looking good. Let's go out there and win this. Or you're like, yesterday, you didn't do these 5 things on your list of 50. So you're not making the mark. I mean, so how is it that we're talking to ourselves? Or are we carrying things from our childhood that says that we aren't good enough, or are we, all of that stuff. But you don't really realize that at the age of 25. It was just like, let's just get in there and get this done. But it's also important when you're on like a natural healing regime. We have to cleanse the body, and then we have to build it up with those proper nutrients. So we go through a cleansing process and we build it up. So there were several things I did back at that time So I went on a diet that cut out all animal protein. I could have a spoonful of yogurt once a day. And so the premise behind the program that I used was that cancer cells feed off of protein. So if we keep the protein out of the body, so in the morning I could have a little bit of yogurt. At noontime, I could have a little bit of protein, but it was a total raw foods diet. And then from noon till the next day, you had that fasting time. So the body was able to clean up and take care of anything that it needed to get rid of. So I drank at least a quart of fresh vegetable juice every day, carrots,
Mm-hmm.
spinach, parsley. I took massive amounts of wheatgrass because wheatgrass has a constituent to it called aspartic acid that eats cancer cells. So, I mean, I did a lot of wheatgrass. I had almonds were my main source of protein. I soaked and sprouted all of my grains, seeds, nuts, lots of produce. And that was the diet that I lived on for about 6 months. I also did some other cleansing regimes, like I did colonics. It's a system that cleans out the colon. And I also did coffee enemas because coffee enemas help to cleanse and flush out the liver. The liver is the part of the body that collects all the toxins. So that was the program that I used back then.
Hmm. Wow.
So, and it worked. It's, our bodies are amazing instruments. I mean, they're so fine tuned and they're so complex. And if we give it what it needs on all of those levels, not just physical, but mental, emotional, and energetic as well, which is what I've learned over the past few years, the results are tremendous. So when I had the rectal cancer, when you get cancer, it's a crazy thing. I was so embarrassed and ashamed that I had it. It was like, I teach exercise classes, 10 classes a week, and I eat healthy, and how could I get this? I should be exempt from this. And so I became so ashamed of the fact. And so all of the emotional stuff, but I had put together what I call my energy up system, and it was based off of working on those 4 pillars of health with. I researched and studied these and put courses and manuals together on it. And like I said, I would take it to my people at the senior living facilities, and I saw the power of the system.
Hmm.
So when I almost died from the rectal cancer in 22, I came home and like I said, I was a total mess, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was like, what happened to my life? I weighed 89 pounds. I could walk up and down my driveway with a friend in a walker, and then I would have to go back to bed. And about 3 weeks in, I was so traumatized. I said to myself, I have to do something to get out of this. So I knew if I could do the energy up system, as much of it as I could. And a world-class athlete can use it, or somebody that can't get out of a wheelchair can use it. It's adaptable to wherever we're at. I said, if I can do this, I'm going to be okay. So I started with 2 moves in the chair, and I could do each move for about a minute, barely moving my arms and legs, and then I would go back to bed. But about the next week, I could do all 5 moves for about a minute and a half in a chair. I'd go back to bed. And at about 8 weeks, I was up on my feet going full blast. Some of these moves are timed up to like 5 minutes. I could do them 5 minutes long, standing up. And by the end of 2.5 months, 3 months, I was lifting weights again. And it literally snapped me back on all of those levels. And it was just like, holy crap. I knew this was powerful, but I did not know it was this powerful. So I literally do some of those moves every morning. I call them my daily moving and grooving, and then I'll throw a couple other ones in there because it just activates all of those pillars of health, and it keeps me where I'm at mentally, emotionally, physically, and energetically because they open up all of those pathways. So that's kind of the basis of where the company is headed with the Parkinson's and dementia programs,
Mm-hmm.
because those moves are the basis of those programs.
Hmm.
So not only that, I have instructors that teach sound healing, meditation, chair dance, line dance,
Hmm.
Pilates, you name it, we teach it. But we all incorporate some of those key components from the energy up system, because when we're moving our bodies, shouldn't it also affect those other pillars of health? I mean, we don't want to just have our body healthy. We want the rest of us to follow along too. So if we're making sure we're doing things to elevate our workouts, no matter what that looks like, especially as we age, why wouldn't we do that? Right? So
Yeah.
that's just spurred me on to really understand the power behind it, and really to want to show that to other people, and have them feel as good as I feel.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
everything you said is like just hitting me so hard,
Oh,
Vickie. Like,
well, good.
I practice affirmations every single day, and I've been doing this for last almost 10 years. And
No,
I think my first thing, just as you said, the first thing I say once I wake up and still on the bed, not even just close my eyes, I'm happy, I'm healthy. And next comes
absolutely.
everything else that I want to do for, like, my short-term goals and long-term goals. And
Absolutely. That's fabulous.
affirmations work, and I can
Yeah.
really write a book about it. I'm like, I'm not an author, but I and
Yeah.
I totally, totally get where you're coming from. And
Yeah.
just small story is, so 2 years ago, actually two, I was diagnosed. I had a stroke, and I was after my second kid was born. It was 3 weeks
Wow.
after he was born. I had a stroke, and I didn't even know that it was a stroke because it was like just for 10 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
And we happened to go for an MRI, and they confirmed it's a stroke, and I had like moya disease. And I had a brain bypass surgery 2 years ago, 2024. One of my husband's cousin, so she was saying the same thing, like self healing. But again, my mind was already polluted at the point where, like, I didn't have my mind power to naturally heal. But that's
Right.
what she was saying. But we were already ready to get the bypass
Right. Right.
figured and planned, and we were kind of like, okay, no, we need to go with it. But I totally get where you're coming from. It's just the
Nice.
mind that you need to prepare, and
Yeah,
everything just
absolutely.
happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. And let's give I, I try and do everything naturally. I'm 73. I don't take any medications. I have a list of supplements that I take every day. And fortunately, I never bought in I've never had to deal with like high blood pressure or anything like that. But
Hmm.
so I'm not there is a time and place for allopathic medicine. We like the brain surgery, or like,
Right.
when I had the rectal cancer, it was fast growing, and I looked at all my options, and I didn't really have peace about targeting it naturally. So my thought was, I'm going to do this first, and then I'm going to flip to natural. But so there is a time and place that we need something like that. But then we need to also balance that with, we are responsible for ourselves. We are responsible for our health. Just because we go to a doctor that says you need to take this medication, do we blindly follow him? No,
Hmm.
go home and research that medication and see if actually it's going to help, or is there something else you could do that's better for your body?
Hmm.
Because the difference I feel like with natural healing versus allopathic medicine is, allopathic medicine tries to put a band-aid on something. We're not getting to the root cause. So if we just cover something up, whatever's causing that is still happening on the inside. So until you take care of that, the band-aid isn't really, I mean, it's going to help the immediate symptom. I have a band-aid on my finger, but it's not going to take care of the root cause. So
Right.
natural healing takes us to the root cause. So like with you, perfect.
Mm.
You had the surgery that needed to happen. Now, how are we going to get our body elevated to where it needs to be? And the same thing with the radiation and the chemo. I mean, quite honestly, the radiation was the most brutal thing I ever did in my life. Even throughout the whole healing, it was still the most brutal part. Even though I had tubes hanging out and I had an ostomy, and I still have the ostomy, the healing from those radiation burns were the worst part of that whole situation. But I did a and they wanted to continue to do other stuff. And I said, no, we're done. I'll take it from here. I'll take it from here. And then if something happens down the road, I'll deal with that then. But nobody's touching the butt.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't need more chemo. Everything's gone.
Right.
And so we have to take responsibility and weigh out what works for us. Now, some people might say, no, I could never do that. And that's your choice. But
Right.
we have to accept the responsibility for the decisions that we make and where we choose to go with it.
Right.
And I think more and more people are waking up to the fact that, yes, doctors are well educated in what they know, but they don't know nutrition, and they might not know fitness for the most part, and they might not know healing of the mind, although I think the medical profession is maybe going that way a little bit more.
Hmm.
But anyhow, that's just my rant on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everything you say is like absolutely right, and yeah. So
Cool.
my next question is: you say joyous health outcome. What does that look like in practice?
Joyous health outcome.
Hmm.
Okay, so here's the thing. If we live in a constant state of stress all of the time, we have these hormones being released called adrenaline first. So we have two parts of the nervous system, fight and flight. I call it the freak out nervous system, fight or flight, and we have the peace out nervous system, rest and restore, right? We want to live in the peace out nervous system, but because of the day and age we live in, if we are not practicing techniques for relieving stress and anxiety, we can live in the freak out nervous system most of the time. That's made for emergency situations. You're driving down the road and the car in front of you abruptly stops. You feel the adrenaline release and you slam the brakes on. Okay. Helpful, right? Or you're out for a walk and a German Shepherd starts chasing you down the street with his teeth bared. You're going to run and the adrenaline and cortisol are going to kick out, right? But cortisol is that long-term hormone that gets released when we're in that stress system. It's not good for us. It eats muscle tissue, destroys the brain. When we're in that freak out nervous system, we're not getting constant blood flow up to the brain. The pericardium, the tissue around our heart goes right. And we're trying to run and manage everything. Our blood pressure goes up, our pulse goes up, our heart rate goes up, and we're not good for anything except freaking out, right? So when we flip into the rest and restore, we just changed tunes. So now we've got all the feel-good hormones releasing, serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, and that's where we want to live in that peaceful state. Okay. That's where we want to be. So in our classes, the first thing I do in every single class is I flip us out of the stress loop, the freak out mode into the peace out mode. And we do that by three simple things. We laugh, we clap, and we smile, because the brain does not know if something is real or imagined. So if we smile, even if we don't want to, the brain goes, ah, she's happy, starts the release of those feel-good hormones. We just went out of freak out into peace out. Okay. Same thing with laughing. Laughing is one of the most powerful things we can do, even if we don't feel like it. I had one lady in a class that I started to, she goes, please don't fake laugh. And I said, you don't have to, but I'm going to do it every single day because it triggers something in the brain. It was like you were talking about affirmations. So we can get up and go, oh, I'm so tired. I just don't feel good today. And pretty soon that's the energy of your brain. Or if you go, I am so happy and healthy today, it's like, yes, I feel good. Right. And so if we are working out, so how many people do you go, oh, I got to go to the gym and work out? It's like, what's that doing for you? Right? You may be moving your body, but if you're doing it in the freak out nervous system and you're not liking it and you're griping about it, you're over here with all that cortisol being released while you're trying to work out. You're trying to build muscle, but the cortisol is eating the muscle tissue. So you might as well just stay home, right? So joyous movement, we need to enjoy what we're doing because that keeps us in the peace out parasympathetic nervous system because it's releasing all those good hormones, and that's where we want to live. We want to promote that joyful feeling. We want to enjoy what we're doing. And even if we don't particularly want to go to exercise class, but we know it's going to make us feel better. And once we get there, we start laughing and clapping and smiling. Pretty soon, we're in that joyful state and we walk away elevated emotionally, mentally, physically, and energetically. And so it's joyful movement. If you don't like to go sit on a stationary bicycle, don't do that. Go find something you like. And every day it can be something different. Play games with it and go, how could I do something really fun today? How about if I walk down the sidewalk and I do one leg crosses this way as I'm taking my walk today? What if I added some walking lunges in? Or what if I try walking backwards? And then I'll get myself to laughing while I'm doing it. And if somebody else walks by and sees me, they're going to start laughing at me. So I've just made their day, elevated their life, and I'm going to laugh a little bit more because it was like, oh, this is so much fun. I got those people excited about doing something silly too. So it's like, allow yourself to be silly, but also enjoy what you're doing.
I mean, that's how kids do it. That's how
That's
kids are
exactly
healthy.
play. Let's play. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And so that's what I tell my people. I said, we're going to do a lot of silly things in class because number one, it's good for our brain. Number two, it relieves stress and anxiety. And we're building new neural pathways when we add new patterns and progressions in. I said, and another thing is I get bored real easy. And I won't do it if I'm bored. So it has to be fun. It has to be engaging, right? And so I think if we change our attitude about, oh, we ought to go work out, or oh, every day I have to do something for fitness, it's like, no, let's change the attitude. Let's say, I get to. What about the person that can't stand up? What would they give to be able to stand up and move their body in a way that maybe somebody else can, you know? So again, it's mindset, right?
Right.
Starts in the brain, starts in the mind. And you know what? If you get up one day and go, I just don't want to work out, then don't. Give yourself a break,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then
Right.
don't beat yourself up for it. But
Yeah.
realize that there's more to it than just moving our body. And I think so often we forget that, or we never even thought of that. So I think that that's huge. So to me, that's joyful movement.
Yeah, and I think people, to add to that, people try to do something negative and expect a positive result is not going to
Yeah.
happen. You need to, that's where you need to have a positive thought for a positive outcome.
Yes, absolutely.
And just as you said, like just go for a walk and do something fun. And everyone, when they were a child, when they were a kid, that's what they did. But now I
Right.
think people are people just think that, oh, you know what, I'm paying for this program, it must be complicated. No, it can be
Yeah.
simple as
No,
like just
simpler
laugh.
is better. Simple is better. Yeah.
And you need to actually follow the process and see it working for you, and now realize why is it working. Because until you told me,
Exactly.
I thought like saying I'm happy, I'm healthy worked for me all these 10 years.
Yeah,
But I don't know why it worked, because
it
initially,
did because
I
you were
mean
telling yourself
initially,
that and you believed it.
yeah, so but initially it felt like, especially I was not happy back then, it felt like I'm faking it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just need to, yeah, you need to believe it even though it's not
Right.
true in
Right.
that circumstance.
Right.
That's when it will work. And these things are simple, but it
Yeah.
just makes you feel it's silly to say something like
Yeah.
that when you're not happy, when you're like really
Right.
not
Right.
happy. And when you want to say that I'm happy, it just doesn't resonate with you. But again,
Right.
I
But
kept on
remember
doing
too,
it.
remember your brain doesn't know if it's real or not.
Right. That's exactly. I don't know if you know about this book, You're a Badass, Shiro. I think
I
that's
have
where
never
I,
read it.
yeah. So it's basically same concept, and that's where I kind of
Right. Right.
got all the affirmation things and
Oh, that's really
fake it until
cool.
make it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is amazing, Wiki. Okay, so so I want to know more about the energy up and what your plans are for
Okay.
the next
Okay.
six to
Yeah.
12 months.
Yeah, great. Sure. So we're really focusing on the Parkinson's, the programs for Parkinson's and dementia
Mm-hmm.
patients. So we launched that as a beta test with a national healthcare company and found some tremendous results with it. Since then, that company has gone through some major shakeups and they cut a lot of classes and programs. And one of the programs they cut was the dementia program, which was really devastating for us, devastating for our clients, because not only were they coming and exercising specifically for them, but they had created their own social group, which is super, super important for those demographics. They knew they had a place to come. So
Mm.
we decided at that point, after seeing all the results we got with both the dementia patients and the Parkinson's groups, that we would really push those out this year. So my goal this year is to work with a lot of B2Bs, a lot of Parkinson Foundation, a lot of the big heavy hitters in both of those realms to get our programs out there, because I really do feel like it builds the program builds new neural pathways in the brain. It relieves stress and anxiety, which is huge for both of those demographics and the caregivers. We have to keep the caregivers foremost at the front of the programs because they're kind of the ones that get lost. They're on 24/7, sometimes thrown into the position of caregiver, not knowing a thing about the disease that they're dealing with. And here they are, maybe dealing with loved ones, and they're in a very stressful situation. So we want
Mm-hmm.
to allow them and provide them the tools that they need, that they can flip into the peace out nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
So our goal this year is we're rebranding both of those programs. We're changing the name on them. Energy Up is kind of my signature program that these courses were built off of. So we're changing the name, rebranding it a little bit, and really pushing to work more B2B level to get these programs in senior living communities, working with Parkinson's foundations, Alzheimer's foundations, and really making it very accessible by the public. We'll put virtual classes in and build teams wherever these programs are wanted or needed. We can build teams and send our people in there. We can also have training certification programs that we can come in and train the staff of locations that want to be trained, and they can use our program with a licensing fee. We're expanding into Canada with a lady, probably starting in July. We're expanding our Parkinson's program into New Mexico. We'll be doing a demo. We've worked with the Parkinson's Foundation for a couple of years now, so we're demoing at their annual moving day in May in Albuquerque. Come join us, a really fun group. And we also work with an organization in Albuquerque called the Parkinson's Connection, which is run by two ladies, fabulous women that have Parkinson's. And we've been with them for a couple of years now. We're just expanding over there with them to put classes on a regular basis. So our goal is to really make these programs known. They're simple to do. We don't need any equipment. You can use equipment if you want, but everybody can do them from their home. I don't care if you can't get out of the chair or, like I said, you're a world-class athlete. Key movements will elevate your life to a level that you're not even aware of, maybe. So it's they're very, very basic and simple. We do a lot of, especially with Parkinson's and dementia, we do a lot of patterning and progressions. So we create patterns and then we add on to those patterns, and that's what helps to rebuild the neural pathways in the brain. And we also do a lot of cross-body moves. They're called cross-lateral moves because it pulls right brain, left brain together. And we combine those with balance and stability moves, strength training moves. The moves we do are pretty cardiovascular in nature. So we're raising the heart rate, building a strong heart and respiratory system. So it's all encompassing and it looks really simple. And people go, oh, this is so easy. And it's like they get out of class and go, oh my gosh, what just happened? Because it looks deceptively easy and it's not. So the moves are challenging, but you go, it's a piece of cake. I can do this. So like maybe a minute in there going, woo, I'm not sure I can finish this, So that's energy up. I think, like I said, we're just playing with the finalizing the name for the programs. I think we're going to go with what's called Neuro Up for the brain enhancing programs. So we're just, like I said, working on that this week, getting that rebranded. So yeah, our push this year is to at least triple what we're doing and really push these two programs out there, because my belief is twofold. Number one, if we started adding moves like this in at an early age, we would alleviate a lot of the issues that we have with brain health nowadays, right? It could help to prevent the many, many, many cases of Parkinson's and dementia and Alzheimer's. And another thing, now this is just me, but this is the way my brain goes. They're doing a lot of stem cell replacement for Parkinson's people. So within the Parkinson's brain and the dementia brain, there's a problem with dopamine. Remember we talked about dopamine? It's a neurotransmitter in the parasympathetic peace out nervous system. There's a problem with dopamine, either the production in the neurons or picking up the dopamine by the neurotransmitters. There's a disconnect. And they're remedying this with stem cell replacement in Parkinson's patients to reconnect the dopamine and the neurons and the transmitters. But what if, because of what we do in class with those simple techniques, that we are releasing dopamine by certain movements that we do, just what if that could change how the neurons and the neurotransmitters are communicating, like the stem cells do? But what if we could do it through this system of exercise? Just what if that happened? So one of my goals is to connect with a neuroscientist so that we can do studies, actually study what happens in the brain to see if we can't change that connection between those dopamine neurons and neurotransmitters. So that's really what I would like to see happen, just so that we can see if that actually could happen. I'm not saying it can. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a physician. I'm not a neuroscientist. But I see what happens in my patients and my people when I'm working with that. And it's like, damn, I would love to see what's going on in their brain when that's happening, right? Would that be the coolest thing?
Yeah,
So
that's like really fascinating, even
yeah,
thinking
and
about it.
Yeah. So, these programs were not just like, oh, this sounds like fun. I think we'll do it. But it is fun. But it's all science backed because kind of my process is I'll hear about something, I have to research it, and then I have to
Mm-hmm.
try it to see if it works. And then I have to go, okay, I understand how this works. Now let's break this down in simple terms so that we can all do it and have fun while we're doing it. So
Mm,
it's all, what the Energy Up programs are all backed by science.
mm.
If anybody's interested in those studies, I would be glad to share them because it's kind of like I just get so excited about it. But anyhow,
Yeah. No, I think
that's a little more
it's
about
just
Energy Up.
yeah, it's really interesting. So I had a podcast yesterday with one lady. So she offers her coaching programs for the caregivers who's caring
Oh,
for the dementia
wonderful.
and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. So
Fabulous.
I think it's kind of like the same topic. It's just
Yeah,
so she's very passionate about it, and I know like what you said, caregivers also are the part of the community, like because those are the guys who get burnt out
absolutely.
giving the care. So do they also have the exercises, or it's more they do? Okay, so
Yeah,
that's what
so
it needs to release the stress.
So I want my caregivers to come to class, but I don't want them necessarily to sit next to their person. It's like
Mm,
bringing them into class, but you go sit over there. We've got your person. We have
mm,
them. You go do your stuff so that you are off. Because if they're in there, they're so used to sitting right next to their person and telling them how to move. Person gets frustrated. They're not getting any benefit out of the class. In
mm,
some of my classes, the caregivers don't pay. I don't
mm,
charge the caregivers. They come in. Patients will get charged if it's a class where they have to pay for our services. If not, it's paid for by insurance companies, but I don't charge the caregivers. I want the caregivers to practice these moves just as much as I want our other people, the patients, to practice them because they're stressed, they're burnt out, and we don't
mm.
want that to happen. And we also have a YouTube channel for both of those demographics so
Okay.
that they can follow the videos throughout the week because the more you practice these moves, the better the results are going to be. And that's not to say stay home and practice them because I think the community is huge. I did ask some questions to my Parkinson's group yesterday, and I have one man in particular. He's younger, but he is severely impacted by Parkinson's. I
Mm,
can't remember what he called it, but he has a problem. He understands, but translating that into speech or movement is really slow and hard for him.
mm,
And so I was asking a question on emotionally, how are you feeling? And he made the comment of the collaboration in this class and coming together with all of these people has changed my life. And it was like, oh my gosh. And then people would pipe up all over the room. But that was the most important part for him, was to have someplace that he could come and relate to. I mean, and this man, if I move his arms and legs for him in the direction I need them to go, then he can get it, but it might take him 2 or 3 minutes to get those movements going. So he would be a
mm.
great case study.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it's just, so if people can get connected in a caregivers group or Parkinson's group or a dementia group, it's super important for them to know I can come here and I can be myself. I can be supported by other people who are feeling the same as I am. Um,
yeah,
it's really a big part of it. Yeah.
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 So, but yeah, that's very interesting, Wiki.
It's very cool.
So my next question is a little bit of your side, the business side, which you're running with. So what's the hardest operational challenge in scaling a people-driven service business?
Well, in our case, because it's pretty much just been me. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Sophie is still on as my business advisor, and she helped working on the website she put together all of our technical stuff on the back end. So when I went into this, I was not a business person. I had no idea. I just went in because it was fun, and then pretty soon it started growing. And then we realized that we needed to put training manuals together and we need to put SOPs together so that everybody was on the same page and managing a team. But I think the biggest part for me has been because it's just basically been me. I have a bookkeeper that does all my billing and my invoicing, my accounting. And then I have a lady that I couldn't do without. Her name was Christine. Hi, Christine. She manages the scheduling of all the classes and the instructors. So those is just basically us. So as we started, like when we flipped the switch and went back on site again. We let a lot of our all of our work that we did virtually, all of our let the social media fall by the wayside. We didn't really need the CRM so much. We still send a weekly email out, and we do have somebody that does our events and emails too. But we kind of put those pieces aside because we were so busy building the on-site team, and all of our classes were on site. So now with the flipping the switch again and moving back more into some virtual things, but working with companies that are not local, we moved our CRM, which to me, everything needs to be very simplified. The simpler, the better. I don't think we need to clutter it up with really intense pieces. So the CRM we had before was very comprehensive, and we were using about 1/10 of what they had to offer. So we just moved to a new platform that's pretty inclusive. We can schedule our social media there. We can run all of our automations there. So I pretty much had to give up control on a lot of areas and finally break down and say, okay, I need a VA. I need a virtual assistant to help with lead generation and automation and sales. So for me, that's the hardest part. I can go talk in front of a group of people, just tell me where I need to go, but somebody else book the call for me, get me to the right person, get past that gatekeeper at the front desk, because so often we can't get past there. So somebody that can do the leads for me, the lead generation, and set up those appointments for me is my biggest challenge.
Yeah, that's a good way to separate yourself from the operations versus the actual,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
communicating with people and collaborating with them and do the
Yeah.
programs, run the programs. So that's a smart thing to do because you can't do it all by yourself.
You can't do it all by yourself. And when you can let go of those things so it's like a lot of times I'm the one that fills in classes when somebody needs a sub, or all of these other little pieces that we could delegate to somebody else, keep me from doing what I'm best at doing and the things that I need to be doing and are so important with. And sometimes it's hard to get to that point, but if we don't, it gets so frustrating because it's like, oh my gosh, I just want a day where I can, whatever it is, but oh no, I have to, whatever it might be. So realizing how to let go of those things that maybe somebody else has a great expertise in, right? And letting them run with it.
Right, right. Yeah, true. I mean, you have that personal touch and you have a passion to help people. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, exactly. Whenever someone is in your spot, you don't have to do it everything. Whatever you're good at,
No. Yeah.
do that and just hand it over to someone else who are
Exactly.
experts in that area. Yeah,
Yeah, and it
that's
took me a long time to get to that point. It's like, no, I can do it all.
yeah,
It's like,
that's how
okay,
we all
no,
think.
you can't, right? You can't. If you want to go there, you can't do it all. So stink and let go of it and give it to
Right.
someone else. But,
Yeah,
um,
no, I think
yeah,
that's amazing, Jenny. Wiki, I think we're almost top of the hour. So where can people find you if they are looking for this
yeah.
type of
So
service?
we're on all the social media platforms. We have a YouTube channel, Alive Fit and Free is the name on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We have a Facebook community that you can join. We also have a website, aliveatfitandfree.com. Reach out to us. We have weekly emails that go out, and we have blog posts that we post on different topics. Yeah, we're willing to work with you. However, like I said, on YouTube, we have some public channels that you can hop into some of our videos. And then for our specialized programs, we have some private channels for those people that want to go a little deeper. So, yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, Wiki. Thanks. It's been a great conversation,
Yeah, it's been so
and
much
we
fun,
we
Sirisha. Thank you.
we found like a lot of good insights where
Yeah,
they're practical. You just need to go and do it, especially like just the small movements. Everyone can do it. It's not just the
exactly.
people with those
Everybody
diseases,
can do
right?
it. Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
can do it.
So
So cool. Yay.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd love to have you
thank
guys hop in for an energy up demo or whatever. We're always glad to demo and share classes. Sometimes we do pop-ups, live pop-ups on Facebook. So yeah, come on over, join us. Love to have you.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for sharing everything, Wiki. It was a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks, Sarisa. It's so much fun to chat with you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye-bye.